Hello everyone, welcome back to episode 2 of Biology of 12th grade. Today we'll be studying about cell wall, plasma membrane, mitochondria, and Christine, I think. Yeah, it was that one. Let's continue. First question says here, what are the types? What are the three main components of eukaryotic cell? A. Cell wall in plant cell and plasma membrane in both plant and animal cell. B. Cytoplasm, and C. Nucleus. Well, cell wall, there is only cell wall in plant cells, and there's plasma membrane in both animal cell and plant cell, but there's no cell wall in an animal cell. That's what it's basically trying to tell you. Now, let's go into the second part of this. It says here, cell wall. Let's see the location. Cell wall exists only on plant cells. It is an outer thick wall surrounding the cell, and it covers the plasma membrane. So basically, it's above the plasma membrane when it's covering this cell. I'm going to show you a picture of that in a little bit. Its function, let's see what the function is. Cell wall provides protection and support to plasma membrane and cytoplasm. Protection and support to plasma membrane and cytoplasm. Simple as that. Now let's look at the structure. Structure says cell wall has three layers. It has primary wall, middle lamella, and secondary wall. These are its layers. Now we go to the last part, which says chemically. Chemically, cell wall consists of cellulose in young cells and thickens when lignin is added in older cells. That's pretty much it. Now let me show you a picture of this so you can understand what a cell wall lays. Let's just zoom in here, right? Cell membrane. See, plasma membrane has two names. It's cell membrane or plasma membrane. These are the two names of plasma membrane. I just like to call it plasma membrane because, it kind of sounds cool. But this is the cell wall. You see how it's above the plasma membrane? It's above it. By the way, this is a plant cell. Keep in mind that only plant cells have cell walls. So this cell wall is right here, as you can see. This is the cell wall. Provides protection and support for the plasma membrane, as it said here, and cytoplasm. And also, Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, this is cell wall. There's nothing really more to it. It's pretty simple. Sorry for the stutter. Now we move on to plasma membrane, or cellular membrane, or cell membrane. Now let's see what it says. It says location. It is a cellular membrane surrounding the cytoplasm in a prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells. So it's existent in both prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells. Let's see the structure. It is a flexible, thin, living, and fluid membrane unseen by light microscope. By the way, it is unseen by light microscopes. It can only be seen by an electric microscope or electron microscope, I think it was called. You're gonna find this in the chapter questions. Chemically, let's see what it's chemically composed of. The plasma membrane consists of two thin layers of phospholipids with hydrophilic end and hydrophobic end. The two layers are separated by a protein particle that allows and controls the passage of materials. Now, let us see this in plasma membrane. Let me just pull up the picture real quick. Here it is. Okay, let's continue. The hydrophilic end and hydrophobic end, well, these are the hydrophilic, basically the tails right here. That little circle is like the protein particle, because it's separating both the hydrophilic and hydrophobic end. Now, the other thing is, it says function, to exchange materials with surrounding environment appropriately and surrounds the cell and marks its outer borders and supports and protects the cell and blocks liquids inside and outside the cell. Remember, this was ESS from back here, as we explained from before. ESS, exchange, surround, support. Same thing here. Same function. Now let's continue. Write the location and function of a protein particle. Well, the location, as we said before, sorry, I didn't think you guys could see this. Give me a sec. Yeah, it says write the location and function of protein particle. Well, it says here, as we said just before, it's in the plasma membrane and allows and controls passage of materials. That's what it is, basically. Now it says difference between cell wall and plasma membrane. Let's see the differences. Here it says it surrounds the cytoplasm, eukaryotic and prokaryotic cell. In cell wall, it only surrounds plant cell. True. Selectively semi-permeable. That means it's like kind of a jelly-like consistency. It's like gooey, jelly-like. Completely permeable, which basically means it's completely water-like. It's like liquid completely. It says here it's a thin and living flexible membrane. It is living. It is a plasma membrane. In cell wall, it is a thick, non-living, and non-flexible membrane. Since it has to protect and support, it has to be strong and hard, And non-living, true, because it is completely liquid. Now, as we said before, these are now the chemically parts of it, if I remember correctly. Composed of two thin layers, this is the structure, sorry. Composed of two thin layers of phospholipids with hydrophilic end and hydrophobic end. These two layers are separated by protein particle that allows and controls passage of materials. Right there, we just said this. Yeah, as I was saying, function. Well, exchange materials, ESS. Same thing as I said before. Exchange, surround, support. For the function of cell wall, provides protection and support to plasma membrane and cytoplasm. Now, here's what happened. Remember, as I said before, that it can only be seen by an electron microscope? Plasma membrane can only be seen by an electron microscope, while cell wall can be seen by a light microscope. Completely normal, but keep these two differences in mind. These are the two differences. To be honest, this is important. I'm not going to lie, it is pretty important, so I recommend you guys do read this over. I mean, it's pretty simple. You're just repeating the same thing that you just memorized at the last page. Now, this is the definition of cytoplasm. Let's see what it says. It says here, cytoplasm. It represents the part that lies between the nucleus and plasma membrane. It is a complex material consisting of 80% water, 15% proteins, 5% fat, sugar, and salts. Cytoplasm consists of many cellular organelles. Cellular organelles meaning basically the organs of the cell or living structure in cytoplasm, and contains non-living structure represented by particles formed by activities of cell organelles. Basically the residue left by the organelles. Or basically that, just, unwanted stuff. When some person goes to the bathroom, it's the same thing here. Non-living structure, it's just not living. Let's go here. Now, let me show you a picture of what it meant by, what did it say? It said it represents the part that lies between the nucleus and plasma membrane. Let me show that real quick. Typical plant cell, as we said. It represents the part that lies between the plasma membrane, which is here. Yeah, basically this line, not the green, this line. And the nucleus, which is this. That's basically what it means there, if you didn't understand. That's this part right here is the cytoplasm. This pink part is the cytoplasm. This line is the plasma membrane. And this is the nucleus. That's basically what it is, if you didn't understand that part. Now let's go to the living contents of cytoplasm. Cell organelles. Basically organs of the cell. Endoplasmic reticulum. Let's see. Endoplasmic reticulum has a reticulate interconnected system of tubules and vesicles. You'll understand what that means, and I'm going to show you a picture of it. That's what the structure of the endoplasmic reticulum is. Location: endoplasmic reticulum is attached to the plasma membrane at places and attached to nuclear membrane at other places. So it can be attached to the plasma membrane. And nuclear membrane. So you can probably see it on the nucleus, or you can probably see it at the plasma membrane. Completely normal. Functions. Endoplasmic reticulum is the place where lipids, carbohydrates, and proteins are made. That's what they are. They produce lipids, carbohydrates, and proteins. They're also called endoplasmic reticulum because of branches that interlock with each other. Okay, now let's go to the types of endoplasmic reticulum. There's rough endoplasmic reticulum and there's smooth endoplasmic reticulum. This type, let's see the structure. It says this type of endoplasmic reticulum has ribosome on its tubules. They look rough and granular. Okay, so basically like little balls on the shrinks, like on the branches, tubules, and stuff like that. Function. It has active role in building proteins. They help transport materials inside the cell. Inside the cell, especially to Golgi bodies. It also acts as a structural reticulum of intracytoplasmic material. Basically, see this last part, the third one, it basically just means the building foundations of the cell. Like it helps the cell keep its shape. It's basically what it is. Ribosome. This is the definition of ribosome. It is numerous small grains and it is found in cytoplasm, prokaryotic and eukaryotic cell, on rough endoplasmic reticulum, and it is involved in production of proteins and composed of RNA with protein. Okay. That's its chemical structure, but the ribosome's chemical structure is RNA with protein. Now let's go to smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Smooth endoplasmic reticulum differs from rough endoplasmic reticulum in that they have no what? Ribosome on its tubules. It's supposed to say that, but I don't know. Function, says here, it transfers materials inside the cell and acts as structural reticulum of intracytoplasmic material. Same function as the 3 points here, except it doesn't have an active role in building proteins. Now, let's look at its other functions. It says it has vital role in detoxification of drugs and medication. 2, they are the place for building and concentration of fat. Okay, so basically, they build and concentrate fat. Okay, completely. It appears in cells of testicles, ovary, and 2 adrenaline glands. They secrete steroid hormones. Basically, these are also the adrenaline. When you get something, when you have that butterfly feeling in your stomach, or you have that much adrenaline in you. These are it's like where it comes from. They secret this, and that's why they secret steroid hormones. That's just basically it. Smooth endoplasmic and rough endoplasmic. As you can see here, we just explained them. So I'm now going to show you a picture of, rough endoplasmic and smooth endoplasmic. So this is basically smooth endoplasmic. So remember, because it has no ribosomes on its tubules. This is rough endoplasmic because it has ribosomes on its tubules. You see how it's connected to the nuclear membrane? See, it could also be connected to the plasma membrane, but it's only connected to the nuclear membrane here in this photo. Now let's talk about a new what was it called again? Cell organelle, yeah. A new cell organelle named Golgi apparatus. Its main function is secretion. Basically, secrets. That's its main function, secretion. Represents secretory apparatus. That's its other name for Golgi apparatus. Keep that in mind. It was first described, see there's a grammatical error, but we move. It was first described by the scientist Camillo Golgi in 1898 while studying on neurons. You know, pretty revolutionary, I'm not gonna lie. Now, let's go to location. Let's see where this is at. It has a special location in the cytoplasm. It has a special location in the cytoplasm between the nucleus and plasma membrane. Basically, what it means by special location between cytoplasm and nucleus and plasma membrane, basically, it doesn't have a specific place that it's always located in. It's always around in the cytoplasm. It's never in one place. See, as we go to the second point, it says here, it is hard to identify the certain location and it differs in shape and size from one cell to another. So it's not consistent with the shape or location inside of the cell. Okay? Structure. It consists of It consists of 3 chambers marked by smooth membranes. It has 3 components. First is 3 to 10 flat saccules called cisternae. The second is vesicles, and the third is large vacuoles. Golgi apparatus has no ribosome. Keep that in mind. So the first part is 3 to 10 flat saccules. That is the first chamber. The second part, 3 to flat saccules called cisternae. The second is called vesicles. That's the second chamber. And the third is large vacuoles. And Golgi apparatus has no ribosome. Those are basically the 3 chambers in the structure of a Golgi apparatus. The function of Golgi in plant cell. Okay. Golgi apparatus is called dictyosome in plant cell. It builds cellulose in some components of cell wall in plant cell. This can also come as, a definition as stated here, dictyosome, which is Golgi apparatus in plant cell. It builds cellulose in some components of cell wall. Now, I'm going to show you a picture of Golgi apparatus so you understand what it is basically. So right here we see these 5 flat saccules, which this is the Golgi apparatus. Basically, this is the Golgi apparatus. These are not ribosomes, by the way. These are not ribosomes. This is part of the Golgi apparatus. Now, that was the function. See, look, this was the function of Golgi apparatus in plant cell, which is called dictyosome in plant cell. The functions of Golgi here, in animal cell, what do? Building and secreting complex sugars, okay? Secreting protein, which is obtained from endoplasmic reticulum, but it does not produce protein. It secretes protein, but it does not produce it since endoplasmic produces it. Secreting many materials like hormones and enzymes. That's pretty straightforward. Cisternae, the definition for it is the first part of Golgi apparatus. They are chambers marked by smooth membranes, 3 to 10 flat saccules called cisternae. You basically memorized this in the page before. Now let's go to one of the most noticeable and known. Okay. Mitochondria. They are spherical or filamentous structure, 0.5 to 1 micrometer in width and end up to 10 micrometer in length. Mitochondria are surrounded by double layer membrane. The inner layer has curves and folds of different shapes and directions. Tops of these curves and bends are directed toward the mitochondrial cavity. These structures are called cristae, not cisternae, cristae. Location of they distribute differently in different cells in the cytoplasm eukaryotic cells, and they differ in size according to type of cells. So basically, it's like Golgi apparatus. They are in different locations in different cells, and they distribute and they differ in size. According to the type of cells. Now I'm going to show you a picture of this after we finish explaining, so you guys can understand. These Now let's look at this question. There are a large number of mitochondria in the muscles. We all know this. Muscle cells need ATP energy, which produced by mitochondria in cytoplasm to perform its mechanical operations. That is completely what it's used for. I mean, ATP energy, which produced by mitochondria in cytoplasm to perform mechanical operations, just basically means its work, like what it does. Now let's move to cristae. Cristae. It is many curves and folds of different shapes and direction. Tops of these curves and bends are directed toward the mitochondrial cavity. They increase surface area of the inner layer of the mitochondria. This is the function of cristae, by the way. Just wanted to point that out. They increase surface area of the inner layer of the mitochondria. Now let's go to the function. Mitochondria are known as what? Energy houses. Because they are involved in producing high energy ATP. But the basic function of mitochondria is cellular respiration because they produce respiratory enzymes. They are known as energy houses because they are involved in producing high energy ATP. But their basic function is different. The basic function of mitochondria is cellular respiration because they produce respiratory enzymes. Now let me show you a picture. Alright, so let's explain the mitochondria using the picture. So as we said before, the mitochondria contains a double layer membrane. What this basically means is the outer membrane and the inner membrane, which is basically the double layer membrane. Now, as we said before, the cristae here, the cristae curves and folds and bends towards the mitochondrial cavity. This white stuff that you see here, or pink, depending on where you're watching it, right? This is the mitochondrial cavity. This is what it basically means. I know it says matrix here, but this is the mitochondrial cavity. It's because it's pointing inwards towards it. The double layer membrane is basically the outer membrane and the inner membrane. The cristae also increases the inner surface area of the mitochondria. Well, that's pretty normal, because if it was just, a little oval, then there wouldn't be as much surface. Like, this is more surface, you see? And that's gonna wrap it up for today. I hope this helped you guys, and if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, and thank you for your time.